to my channel 5 Minute Economics, where I teach economic concepts in a span of just 5 minutes. The topic for today is theories of wages, which is a very interesting microeconomic topic studied at the undergrad level. And in this video, I'll be talking about the various theories of wages, be it the subsistence theory, the residual claimant theory, the wage fund theory, and many more. So what are you waiting for? Let's get started. Also, guys, don't forget to like this video and do subscribe to my channel in case you haven't already, and do follow me on my Instagram handle at 5 Minute Economics. So guys, before moving on to the theories, let me briefly explain to you what exactly does wages mean. Well, wages is any kind of payment made for the services of labor. So we study the 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. And what does labor get? Labor gets wages. Well, labor basically doesn't mean the labor who builds houses, but we can have labor in the form of a doctor's services, lawyer's services, teacher's services. They all are paid in different forms. They may be given fees, commission, or salary. So all of this is coming under wages. But wages, guys, are of 2 types: money wages, also known as nominal wage, and secondly, real wages. So money wages basically is the amount of money income which the labor receives for their services, the actual income what they receive, right? But what is real wages? Real wages basically is the benefits and the comforts they receive from their work. So whatever they can, the leisure, what they are getting, the benefits what they are getting and availing because of their money and nominal wage, that is what they are calling it as real wages. Well, real wages depends on many factors. We're not going in the detail of it, but just letting you know the factors in brief. It depends on price level, the nature of work, at times on money wages and future prospects. So guys, firstly, coming to our first theory, which is called the subsistence theory of wages. What exactly is this theory? I'll let you know in a few minutes. Well, it says that labor power is determined by cost of production. What does it mean? It means that wages tend to settle at the subsistence level. What wage we are getting? Subsistence is the minimum level which is needed for our survival. However, it is put down that when wages are more than subsistence, like more than our minimum survival, what happens? People, the workers, they tend to marry. And when they tend to marry, the population increases. And when the population increases, the labor also increases. Whereas in the other scenario, when wages are below the subsistence wages, you're not getting the minimum level also, then there might be starvation, there might be disease, hunger, and in that case, the population might fall. There might be a shortage of labor. Hence, according to this theory, it states that wage level can neither be more than the subsistence or neither be less than the subsistence level. It will always be at the subsistence level. Well, guys, it's very impractical and highly, I would say, wrongly said. This theory has been put on very wrongly. That's why we have few criticisms regarding this, that it states that it is a wrongly based theory on Malthus's theory of population, which altogether is a very complicated theory. And this theory is based on that theory, which ultimately makes this theory quite futile. Secondly, it's a very dark, very pessimistic theory as well. And lastly, it's historically not correct. It's not, obvious that, if you are earning more than subsistence, you will marry, you will increase the population, you will increase the labor. It's nothing like that. So it's a very wrongly based theory. But this is what actually, if you read what I've written it's basically the crux of the subsistence theory of wages. So coming to our second theory, which is actually a modified version of our previous subsistence theory. Here they say that in the long run, wages tend to equalize the standard of living of the workers. So of course the workers have a standard of living and they always try to maintain that standard of living, isn't it? But what happens if the standard of living falls? Then definitely it will affect the biological, physical, mental needs, and due to which they will stop having children because their standard has fallen. And because of that, the population will fall, again the labor will fall, and due to which the marginal productivity of labor will rise and wages will tend to rise again. Similarly, if the standard of living rises, then of course they will have more and more children, population is increasing, labor is increasing, due to which the marginal productivity of labor will fall and wages will fall. So ultimately what it means is basically that in the long run, wages they tend to equalize, and that is what they've said. Again, a very wrongly stated theory, I would say here. Standard of living is not fixed, but they have considered standard of living as fixed, which definitely isn't true. Standard of living determines wages. That is what they have considered, but that actually it is opposite also. Wages also determine the standard of living, so they are interdependent, but here they've shown it wrongly. And lastly, actually there's no direct relationship between wages and population, that wages rise, population rise, but in this theory they have shown a direct relationship. So hence these are the few criticisms of this theory. Next, guys, coming to the wage fund theory, which was propounded by J.S. Mill. Why have I mentioned his name and not the previous author's name? Because this name is very famous. Many a times it is asked in many competitive examinations that who propounded the wage fund theory or which theory was given by J.S. Mill. So make sure you remember this. So basically, according to J.S. Mill, wages debt are dependent on two factors. Number one, the wage fund, and number two, the population. What is wage fund? Well, wage fund is basically that amount of capital which an entrepreneur sets apart for the purchase of labor. So that is the fund he has kept for wages. Secondly, on the population. Population refers to that section of the labor or population that enters the labor market for employment. So basically, he says by this formula, which you should remember, average wage is equal to the wage fund upon the population, because it rests on these two things. And we know if our fund increases, our wage fund is increasing, our average wages will definitely increase. Our average wage can also increase if the population is falling. So because of these two things, our change in the average wage is determined. But again, as always, this theory also has some criticisms, guys. Here they've mentioned that all labor is homogeneous, which definitely isn't true. Secondly, it's very unscientific because they've kept this fixed amount of wage fund, which definitely is not realistic. And thirdly, guys, how easily you can change the wages is not as easy how they've put in this theory. In the modern day, trade union, lets to increase in the wages, and not very easily you can decrease or reduce the wages of the labor. So they have actually completely ignored the trade union. So this is all about the wage fund theory. Moving ahead to our second last theory, which is the residual claimant theory, which was given by Francis Walker. Well, this theory, if you are smart enough, you can actually understand this theory from the very name itself. Residual claimant. What is the residue? The leftover, basically, right? So what are, according to Walker, wages are basically a residual, whatever is left over. He said that when we have the total product, out of which we minus the rent which is given to the land, out of which we minus the interest given to capital, and we minus the profit given to entrepreneur, what is remaining is our wages. So this is what he has said, that wages are basically a residual. He said that if the brighter side of this theory is if labor put in more efficiency without increase in the inputs, definitely they can get a larger portion of the residue. Again, this theory was also criticized because in general, guys, that labor is not the one who gets the residue, but it is the entrepreneur who gets the residue. Whatever is left over is that profit which the entrepreneur gets. Labor always gets his wages. Secondly, they also have ignored the trade union, which of course plays a very important role. And thirdly, guys, this is a one-sided theory. They are only seeing the demand side of the problem and not the supply side. However, this theory also had criticisms like the previous theories, but this theory was actually looked at a brighter theory. It had few benefits, and because of this theory, wages were looked upon much more in detail. So lastly, guys, coming to the marginal productivity theory of wages, which is basically an application of the marginal productivity theory of distribution. Unfortunately, I haven't yet made a video on the marginal productivity theory of distribution, but definitely in the near future, I'll be coming up with this particular video in detail. Basically here, guys, according to this theory, it says that wages tend to equal the marginal product of labor, which definitely means that marginal productivity. What is marginal in economics? Marginal always means additional. So that additional productivity which we get from employment of an additional labor is basically the marginal productivity. In giving you a small example, if an entrepreneur is hiring labor for 100 rupees and then he is selling goods worth more than 100 rupees, definitely he is making a profit, right? But if he is hiring labor for 100 rupees and selling those goods for less than 100 rupees, he is definitely making a loss. So in real life, no one would want a loss. Of course, we will aim to get a profit. So this is in short what basically marginal productivity theory of wages means. I hope this video was clear to you guys. I hope I was able to help you out with my video. Please do like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video pretty soon.